It came to my attention that a DJ, I'm not going to say any names because I don't think it's necessary. A DJ basically said that a lot of the pioneers in hip hop they're dusty, or how can they be the person that, invented hip hop? This idea that you have to have money or else you don't have any value is a bad idea, and it's a misinformed way of looking at the world and the culture.
Now, LL Cool J goes off on DJ Akademiks. If you don't know what's going on, DJ Akademiks recently made some comments about old rappers and hip-hop and how a lot of them are broke. And OG rapper LL Cool J actually ended up responding to sad comments Akademiks made. I'm going to play you the clip of Akademiks saying what he said, and then after that, I'll play you the LL Cool J clip as well. Check it out.
That's what it is. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Them old rappers, man, them niggas, bro, have you seen any of these old rappers who be like, yo, they're the foundation of hip-hop, really living good? Them niggas be looking really dusty. I kid you not. And none of y'all trying to come for me because I don't fuck with y'all niggas either. So I'm just tell y'all the truth. Y'all be looking like, every time they be like an old nigga talking about hip hop, you be like, yo, bro, you sure you invented this? Because everybody else living better than you.
It came to my attention that a DJ, I'm not going to say any names because I don't think it's necessary. A DJ basically said that a lot of the pioneers in hip hop they're dusty, or how can they be the person that, invented hip hop? This idea that you have to have money or else you don't have any value is a bad idea, and it's a misinformed way of looking at the world and the culture. There are artists out here. First of all, let me say this. First of all, let's talk about young artists, right? Who I love. I love the young artists. Let's be clear. I'm very much a guy who embraces the young artists. I believe in every generation. I believe in you. I care about you. Let me say this to you, though. Today, you could come up with your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, your 20-year plan. You can go find a manager. You can find an accountant. You could find somebody that means something to you, to help you. You could find a team to help your career go to the next level. When hip hop first started, there were no managers. There were no accountants that believed in it. Record companies didn't even believe in it. Nobody believed in it. How can you make a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan on something that doesn't even exist yet, that people have never even heard of? So just because a couple of these guys and girls and people out here made songs and made music and made contributions to this culture, or even dancers danced and made these contributions go, just because they didn't get rich, just because they weren't able to pile up millions or billions of dollars, does not mean that they didn't make a contribution to this culture. That does not mean that they didn't do something. They created an industry that we all ate off of. They created an industry that you eat off of. When you go out there and you go monetize your brand, when you go get your whatever and do what you got to do to build your career, when you go out there and negotiate your deals and negotiate your checks and talk tough, guess what? That money, that bread, that food that you eating was created by those same people that you disrespected. That industry was created by them same people that you call in, foul words, foul language. The people that you're referring to. So my thing is this. It's always good. It's always good to get money. It's always important. It's important. It's important to get money. I agree. I'm all about getting paper. I've been talking about it my whole career. But don't ever, ever, ever confuse being rich with making a contribution to our culture. Don't ever play yourself like that again. Because trust me, you playing yourself. Because without these dudes and these girls who started this hip hop culture, a lot of the guys that's out there talking tough, you wouldn't even have a career. We'd be on the corner with a beer talking about what's the next move we gonna make. So I would say, approach this game with humility and be glad and be thankful that these pioneers, You know, exactly, slave mentality. Be glad that these pioneers helped create this culture. And let's show them love. Let's elevate them. Let's celebrate them. That's why I started Rock the Bell.
Now let's make this clear, this is not a beef. Akademiks just happened to make some comments that caught the attention of LL Cool J, and then he responded. Ak didn't call LL Cool J broke directly. He was speaking about a related topic and said what he said. By the way, LL Cool J, obviously an OG, a pioneer, an icon in the genre of hip-hop. I didn't personally grow up on LL Cool J. I grew up on the GOAT, Wayne. But LL Cool J has been around since the 80s. He got signed to Def Jam back in 1984, dropped his debut studio album, Radio, that following year in 1985, and has been around since. As for LL Cool J said, he made a lot of good points, by the way, but a lot of the points LL Cool J made aren't directly related to the point Akademiks was making, because Akademiks was making a point about, let's see what he himself says.
Most of the artists that you look up to who are pioneers, they got fucked in their contract. They barely get paid off their music. What I'm saying is that a lot of those older artists, a lot of times I hear they critique the sound of music. They critique everything about the newer artists. And my comment was a extension of multiple conversations I had. Y'all business sense was zero. Y'all fucked up. Y'all are the reason where none of y'all had any type of mutiny or any type of like conglomerates to make sure some of the business shit that labels were fucking artists with didn't happen because y'all was just happy to get money. And by the way, we're glad that y'all pioneered the shit. We're not disrespecting y'all like that.
So he was essentially talking about how a lot of the older rappers and just artists in general go at the younger generation with heavy criticism, knowing that they pretty much don't have their business right. In this conversation, we're talking about the business of being an artist. Akademiks is saying that this young generation of artists, they get a lot of criticism despite the fact that they're so clever in how they handle their business, unlike the older rappers that are criticizing them.
Y'all don't understand and realize that these artists are the most in depth in knowing their business and actually succeeding at it. Because I hear a lot of times older artists trying to lecture newer artists, but I feel the lecturing is devoid when y'all don't know.
The way I look at it is this: the reason why everybody is able to eat off of hip hop today is because there were people who came before us, who paved the way for us, who figured it out for us, who took the abuse from these record labels, who offered unfavorable contracts to artists knowing that they're literally signing their life away. So all these people who came before us, whether they made a lot of money or not, whether their careers ended up flourishing at a later point or not, doesn't matter. They figured it out, so the rest of us didn't have to. They laid out the blueprint so we didn't have to. LL Cool J was even making this point in this part right here.
Just because they weren't able to pile up millions or billions of dollars does not mean that they didn't make a contribution to this culture.
So a lot of the old and dusty broke rappers Ak was talking about, even though a lot of them won't be remembered in the grand scheme of things, they're still a part of everything that has to do with hip-hop as a genre. I.e., the fact that hip-hop is thriving right now, that's thanks to the people who came before us, because that's the foundation they laid that we're standing on. So the foundation all these new rappers are standing on is thanks to guys like LL Cool J, which Ak never said anything about. I'm just trying to make a point. For any new generation to thrive, there has to be an old generation. And I think anyone who's a part of, in this case, new generation of hip-hop should recognize that the only reason why you're eating is because these other motherfuckers got it out the mud before you did. So even if your success isn't directly correlated to theirs, in the grand scheme of things, it really is though, because they came before you. Now that's just what LL Cool J said, but connecting it to Ak's point, Akademiks' comments mainly stem from him seeing the criticism newer artists get. I don't know if he's talking about this kind of situation, but 21 Savage a few years back spoke out against the OGs in the game judging the new generation. So I think Ak is talking about this kind of thing where the OGs who are supposed to bring these young guys together and kick some game instead criticize them. Personally, I don't think the responsibility is on the OGs. I think the responsibility lies on both parties, because one issue a lot of the OG rappers in the game might have when they're trying to kick some game to these young guys is, since the young hot rapper has all these followers on social media, which the OGs never got the benefit of having, the young rapper thinks he's all that and a bag of chips when just 2 weeks ago he was sleeping in his mother's basement. This kind of thing, I believe, creates a sense of inflated ego, and I think this ego boost a lot of young rappers get is the very thing that stops them from listening to their OGs. Also, the OGs and the young rappers of today can't really relate to one another because the landscape of music now is just so different. What the OGs struggle with 20 years ago, the new rappers of today don't not only not struggle with, but they don't have to struggle with it That's important. Another thing that's created a disconnect between the young and old generation is the fact that the old rappers see the young rappers getting all this success so quickly, it makes them feel some type of way about how they came up and how much they had to struggle to get theirs. So I think that's created a lot of disdain on the old heads' end, which that's just pure hate. That's what that is. If you can't be happy for the fact that the new generation is eating because you're famished down your last piece of toast and ramen, that's some hate and shit. No way around it. Anyway, any thoughts on this rant by LL Cool J? DJ Akademiks recently made some comments about old rappers and how they're broke. LL Cool J responded in a very passionate video. You saw the video, right? Do you have any thoughts on this? Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and let's talk about this.